Happy Friday the 13th, man. Oh, Jason and the boys, man. How we fixed for Jason and the Argonauts? Are you a big fan of the stop motion crack? Or were you more of a fan of the Clash of the Titans? Titans. Remember the Titans featuring feckin' Denzel Washington job? What about Any Given Sunday featuring Al Pacino? The Miami Sharks. They were just basically a made up team based on the Miami Dolphins. Fucking Cameron Diaz was nice though. Always found Cameron Diaz to be proper tasty. Lovely body, great face. Tasty, 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 tasty. I buy that for $1. That line came from RoboCop, featuring Peter Weller, not related to Paul Weller, the musician from The Jam and his solo career. Paul Weller. How are you, Amanda? What are you doing at this time? I dropped the kids off to school. And now I'm going to lament the Friday the 13th job. It's a good day for the boys and the lasses. Sorry. How's everyone doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. I just thought I'd do an early morning stream just for the crack. See who's up. There might be boys over in the west coast of America still up, smoking kind bud and lamenting. And then there's people just getting up, and I'm probably on the way to work in Ireland now. And so yeah, I think I'm about maybe 10 subscribers away from hitting the 5,000 mark on the subscribers. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. It's very difficult to get followers and subscribers on YouTube for some reason. Probably because fucking there's only a select amount of people on it in comparison to the old Instagram job, which I've kind of completely lost interest in. You know, you think to yourself, like, I understand why boys like Cowboy Kelly, Owen Colgan, the Viper, and all the boys, because it's kind of like the more subscribers you have, the more reach you have when you're doing live gigs, which means you can get more people to the show, which means promoters are happy because they're like, oh, they can sell tickets out. There was a great crowd, lads. Oh, what a gig, lads. You did a great job. That kind of thing. So, and promoters, their bottom line is the bottom line. And if you're making them money, oh, then you're like fucking Jason Byrne, 24/7, never begging for a rain check. So any crack with you all? There's 9 of you in the building, the virtual building. What's the crack with you? Alan S, geez, you're up early. I'm literally walking into work and the legend pops up. Hope you're doing well. Cheers, Alan. On the work, hey. It's Friday job. Amanda, you have to upload every day on here. It has to be really popular. Yeah, I don't know. I just, who's got the fucking time? And I mean, obviously, people, like, if you treat it like a full-time job and you're starting to make a nice bit of wedge off it, then I get that. But if you're between the two stools like myself, and you've got crippling procrastination, it's not the easiest. Do you know what I mean? It's not. Look at that. I even fucking shaved, man. You need to go and shave, so do, hey. Shave and haven job. Shave and haven job. And exactly, it has to be a full-time job. I can't be arsed anymore. Well, I mean, it's something you can dip in and out of. Do you know what I mean? It's something you can dip in and out of and just keep the blade sharp, so to speak. I'm thinking about, I'll do a small little live stream, have the crack with you. If you build it, they will come. Ghost Ballers job. I'm on Grid Rain. Do you ever watch Ghost Ballers? Yeah, I'll hopefully do one tonight as well. It'd be nice to do like a Friday night power session with you all and see what the Corn Crake has to offer. James Maffett in Sweden. I am indeed. I am Ted Lands. How are you, Ted? I'm still in fucking Stockholm, Stockholm, Sweden. Try it sometime. I like that username. Morning, hey. Hope you have a good one, Martin. And same to you. TIS. Tis. Try it sometime. Amanda. We'll bomb in later. Fucking has to be done, Mandine. Has to be done, hey. How's the old ASMR going for you? What does that even stand for, man? All sweet mingling responses? I don't know. I don't fucking know, hey. I have an audition for some RTE things, self-tape that needs to be done, but I need to find someone to do it. Playing some fucking drug dealers up in Dublin, yeah. I want to get 90 kilos of H. What? I'm into violence and talking hard talk. Love hate job, RTE. I love a bit of the fighting I do. I come from Crumlin and sometimes Jirimna.
Haha, it stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. I'm one of the people who started the whole entire thing. One of the people who started the whole thing, but then other fuckers came and just got more successful. I can imagine, yeah. What does that remind me of? What does that remind me of, man? Fuck it. No one's really talking about it anymore. Though you see these advertisements over here in Sweden for like the Grand Hotel, where they'll basically really turn up the gain on microphones and have like a bucket of champagne and you can hear the ice clinking and then, you know, fucking the cork of the champagne foil coming off and next thing, pop, the lid comes off and you can hear the bubbles splashing playfully within the glass. 15 people there. Give us an old thumbs up there, man. There's only a solitary thumbs up. A solitary thumbs up. I seen Saint Bono made an apparition in Kiev the last day, hey. Saint Bono. I wonder, would you have gone down to Yemen as quick? Or down to Libya? Down to Tripoli? How are you, Paj Mahaj, hey? How you doing, Scan? Apparently, according to journal.ie, Bonio is going doing some memoirs. I retweeted a video there of him hanging out with Georgie Porgy Soros. And George Soros was fanboying him. Yes, he's one of my favorites, is Bono, from Edgeworthstown. Yeah, in terms of World Economic Forum news, nothing's really changed there. There's still a bunch of wrong'uns who are trying to take over the world, but I'm not going to go and spoil this beautiful morning by talking about those assholes. I can enjoy the blue skies and the sunshine while talking to you all on YouTube. It's with 20 people. It's filling up. There's a couple of people in the chat, bit of crack. Our American users are all in bobos now, unless they're up just watching fucking late night TV. I'm going. You know, American TV is fucking terrible, man. George Soros giving Bono the reach around, said Daniel Foley. Command any. Anytime, I mean, I don't know how people can sit and watch American TV. I can't even watch English TV or Irish TV because it's like, why am I watching fucking adverts, man? What's the point? Why would you do it when you can just download it or watch it on YouTube later on? Sorry about that. But yeah, I was trying to watch Liverpool. Yeah, they had to stumble against Tottenham the other day. Fucking Tottenham, boy. City, they look like they're unstoppable. But maybe they'll be stopped by Villa. Maybe. I'm hoping Villa fucking do the job. I'm on Villa, hey. I'm on Villa. Oh, I want to live my life vicariously through the lives of millionaires playing for franchises. But still, it's hard not to get caught up in it. What are the spuds like in Sweden? Come on, the pool, says Shane Duncan. Spuds are all right, man. Nice and fluffy texture. They mash up nicely. Bit of cream, bit of fucking salt, and whoop, a couple of chives in there as well, man. Bit of butter. It's very easy to make Swedish meatballs as well, man. All you need is some lingonberries, bit of fucking sugar. Let them melt, job, because they're frozen. Get yourself some beef stock, the liquid kind. Bit of cream, a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of mushroom soy. Fucking mix that round the pan, job. Take some beef, maybe mix it with some pork mince, roll her up into a ball, fuck them off into the frying pan then, a couple of mashed potatoes, a couple of old pickled gherkins. You got yourself a fancy dinner, a couple of fucking touches of parsley, just to make it look fancy. You can impress any bastard with that, eh? Grid Rain says, imagine a porn star so famous he could sell the naming rights to his schlong. You should call it Max Power Flute Sessions. And he just has these trendy fucking BBC Radio 1 porn sessions that are done in the same way as like unplugged acoustic sessions, the flute sessions. As people like Lauren Laverne just saying like, oh, Max Power's got a massive flute and he's gonna join us backstage for a bit of an unplugged session. Unplugged meaning he wasn't even wearing a Johnny. That took a fucking seedy turn. Forgive me for that. What's the crack with the old Friday the 13th job? Jason is after you. Tell Jason, man, if he comes round my house, he'd get a fucking bop to the jaw. Apparently I read in Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code once that the Knights Templars, they were bumming each other for magic rituals and doing weird shit. And the Catholic boys got a bit miffed, burnt them all alive in Paris or some shit. Read that in Dan Brown. Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code then turned into a movie with Tom Hanks. That was like, fucking Tom Hanks, man. What's he at? Anthony Hennessy, Martin, when is the next installment of the Hardy Book podcast? I should really do that today if I get time, but I'm also supposed to be writing more of this Castletown Tales, so that needs to be done. I need to get that done, and I need to try and do this self-tape, and if I have any time left over, I'll try and get the next installment because it's nearly fucking done. I mean, like, all it takes, I just need to brush up a couple of touchies on that. Tried in time. My birthday today. The old lad had a heart attack on the Friday the 13th as well. Oi, oi, oi. Hopefully he made it. Happy birthday to you. Fair play to you. Alan S. Crowley job. What was Crowley up to? He was a bad bastard, man. OTO and the boys. He was into weird shit like eating poo and shagging. Strange dude, man. Is he Barbara Bush's father? I don't know, man. It makes sense. Delboy Gunner TV. What's the crack, lads? He says. That was a question for all you viewers. What are y'all going at today? 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 Lovely weather for it. Great weather. Great drying weather. If you've got fucking laundry on, man, stick it out in the line to frig. Still around drinking flagons. Fair fucks to him, man. The stint. Is he on the Statins, is he? Staten Island job. Couple of stints and he's away off again. Some view there, boy. Oh. Fucking Bushmaster. Will you come back home to the homestead? Happy birthday, Buck, says Shane Duncan. To try it sometime. Yeah, I'm hoping to come back for the summer. Maybe come back to Ireland for a month. And Johnny Lawler, any good TV show recommendations at the moment? I don't know, man. I haven't really watched any TV. Like, it's all fucking shite, man. Still in Sweden, Larry. That's right. Still in Sweden. You know, I have to say, I did an awful lot of complaining about Sweden many years ago, and yeah, now I'm happy enough here. Thank God. You know, yeah, it's quite nice. So, you know what I mean? It's basically, I didn't really hang out in the Irish pubs so much, or the Irish community, because there's an awful lot of gossiping going on. But then after a while, I kind of like, is the idea of being able to go somewhere and just to talk shite to people who understand where you're coming from. It's great for the old confidence, because there'd be times where you'd be going to, like, over here, like if you live in apartments, like many people do here in Sweden. Paj Mahaj says, thoughts on Irish government trying to get rid of Irish neutrality? Well, let's face it, it's not the Irish government, it's their fucking paymasters in Davos and the EU. I don't agree with it. I think it's the same shit with Sweden trying to join NATO. I speak to a lot of Swedes over here and they're like, but what are you talking about? We have to join NATO immediately. I'm like, do you? Because it's funny, like, they didn't fucking, they've always been talking about, Russia's gonna come and, Russia won't fucking just come and invade for no fucking reason. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's the fucking modern day equivalent of Reds Under the Bed with Joe McCarthy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just all fucking fear mongering, and it enriches weapons manufacturers at the end of the day. But I'll go back to the crack in Stockholm anyway. People feel a bit weird. So you're in apartment blocks and you have like a communal laundrette, which is very handy. Once you get your head around going and booking a time, you get the whole lot done with industrial machines and it's fucking sound. You do it half the time as you would in your own house, like. But you'd have conversations with people, and you know, sometimes when you meet, I met a lad from Gothenburg the other night, a Soundskin, called John. He's a Dublin or Limerick lad, and he was telling me about, like, when he was living in Stockholm years ago, like, he'd be just trying to make conversation with people in the on public transport. And then he said to the girlfriend, he's like, what the fuck is wrong with people, man? Why are people looking at me like I've got two heads if they're trying to make conversation? And he was saying that his girlfriend had lived in Ireland for about 7 years, so that gave her context into how he must be feeling over here. And she just said to him, well, look, basically they think you're weird. It's not in the Swedes' nature to talk to people they don't know. But that said, I have noticed that people are a lot more kind of outgoing and more chatty these days. So that's good. I did a gig there at the weekend, playing live music in a pub in town, and it was good crack. And these three girls beckoned me over from the stage, and one of them gave me a pint, and it was at that, you know, at this stage I didn't need more pints. But I was like, I took a sip of it and it was like Åbro, which is like pissy Swedish lager. And I was like, you're all right, you keep that. And then so I was like, why have you got an English or an American accent? She goes, oh, my mum's English. I didn't really look at, there's 2 other women with her. And I looked over, one of them, she was hefty enough, like. And I said, is that your mum? I looked at her and she was like the same age, they were mates. And I was like, oh God. And then I tried to dig myself out of the hole by going, yeah, but you know, like in Sweden, like, you know, women in their middle-aged women look good too. So I had to just disengage and walk away. Let's see some of your comments there. I missed a few. Let me see. RB says, Paj Mahaj, Irish neutrality in relation to what? Any Kellini on the go over there, man? Oh, come over, Anthony, and have a look, man. You'll see for yourself. We haven't been neutral since sent peace and forces to Chad. Well, I suppose in terms of like, you know, the Irish peacekeeping forces have been in Lebanon for a long time, you know. So in terms of peacekeeping, like look at the UN, man. Like, the UN is basically driving all these policies, and if you look at John D. Rockefeller was the man who gave the land to be built, or for the UN headquarters to be built. Not a lot of people know this. You have to dig your own information, and for the average person out there, it's boring and irrelevant. But if you're into the old geopolitical shit like I am, don't know why, just got into it, just wanted to know what actually is going on in the world. And once you decide to commit to that as a life path, as in like, what is the absolute truth? And yeah, I'll take it down. I can recommend just fucking stop watching TV and go down so many rabbit holes that you practically live in a warren. And then you're basically at a level where you start looking at life very differently. And a lot of people would say, oh, that lad's fucking cracked. He's a crackpot, man. And it's like, no, it's just like, everything is information and knowledge is power. And yeah, I suppose it can be a bit of a black pill when you figure out how the world has been constructed. But I'd rather be informed and depressed than be blissfully ignorant. But saying that though, ignorance is bliss. Let me see, keep reading this. My experience with Swedish women, says Anthony Hennessy, is that they are all as mad as a bag of cats. But I think all the mad ones come to Malta. Fucking Malta by Maltesans. Shane Duncan, the 2009 Lisbon Treaty, our government asked us to vote again. The first result wasn't right. They signed away our sovereignty right. Well, much the same as the Nice Treaty. Everyone voted against it. But then, and I remember people, who I won't mention any names, but people around town going, oh, but it's great though, the Lisbon Treaty, it's so, like, they were just basically parroting fucking Fianna Fáil talking points that they'd heard. And yeah, I mean, for some reason that referendum, the rest of Europe's decision hinged on the Irish referendum. And of course, the fucking gombeans in the Dáil would have caved under pressure from the fucking technocrats in Brussels. You used to see in Ireland a lot when you were going along the quays in Dublin, you'd see, we should never give up our sovereignty. And it seemed to be something that was universally accepted in Ireland. But I do think that over the years, they've been using divisive social issues to basically break up the cohesion that Ireland once had as a nation, which was basically, and I think nations like Iceland, I don't see why we couldn't be like, just being an independent, autonomous nation that doesn't have to answer to fucking bureaucrats in Brussels. I'm not really I understand that having a diplomatic coalition of nations is good for peace and whatnot, but like anything else, when something becomes federalized on such a big level, such as like the United States or the USSR, China, or now Europe, the bigger something is, the harder it falls. And it will eventually fall because the needs of human beings never change. You'll always get fucking greedy, psychopathic Schlevians that want to take over everything for their own personal gains. So if you have something as big as the European Union, fucking, good morning, Mr. Magpie. How's your wife and family? That lad's from Newcastle, man. Yeah, so I don't know, man. If you look at history, and history always repeats itself. I'm paraphrasing Machiavelli, but he's like, if you want to look to the future, look at the past, because man's passions and desires seldom change. Completely butchered that, but the beats and the message are still there, man. How are you, Rasputin, lad? Says Shawneen B. Word. Anthony Hennessy, my father is still on the GGs and is the father still on the GGs and the pints? Well, he's moved back to Ireland now, which I'm very happy about. Fair play to him. So at least that's one less worry. At least he's back home where he belongs, the west of Ireland. And he enjoys the pints and the GGs. See, for me, I grew up with him on a Saturday, always watching, which was the theme tune from the Channel 4 racing, and it was the most boring fucking TV. Coming up on, and he'd always, like, after a few pints, he'd always do, coming up on the inside now, Maloney on 10 to 1, 10 to 1, and he kind of just thought everyone was into horse racing, which is a very niche hobby, I suppose. But like, bookie shops, I remember we had a bet on a horse in 2009. The name of the horse was Sweet Brief, and it came in fucking 10 to 1 tip job. I won. I think I won about 100 quid. It was a 20 quid bet. It was a each way bet. So if it came into the top 4, I think, or the top 3, you'd win, but you had to pay down an extra tenner to basically cover the spread. So yeah, I think I won 100 quid back at the time. I was like, that's fucking great, man. And then it was racing again, and I put £20 on the next time. So that was 40 quid. Thing fucking lost. And I remember just thinking the buzz of the race was so short for the price that the thing is, you've got drugs, gambling, sex, stamp collecting, I don't know what, like extreme sports like fucking bungee jumping or base jumping and, kayaking down crazy waterfalls and whatnot. These are all basically vices or things that I suppose people hack into stimulate their dopamine system, which becomes very addictive. Drugs, it's like there's I suppose you can break it down to about 5 or 6 different ways of getting a kick or a buzz out of certain things that in moderation are grand, but things that can really fuck up your life if you take it too far. And gambling, I think, is probably one of the worst, because you can lose so much in such a short space of time for such a fucking short-lived buzz. And I've come to think that the mindset of people who are addicted to gambling, it's not about how much you win, because I always thought people gamble to win. It's about how much you're willing to risk for that buzz. And during that, like, let's say that 2-minute buzz of those high stakes, that's why people gamble. And for me, I was always like, why would you gamble shit and then be stuck without money? But people don't think like that. Consequentially, it's like, I just put the fucking house on this. Oh fuck! Like I wrote a song again. Check out the if you go to Spotify, check out my EP, Mark Maloney. I'm gonna have to write a new EP or an album at some stage, but EPs and albums don't grow on trees. Plus, I'm easily fucking distracted and procrastinate a lot. But if you listen to there's a song that I wrote called The Gambler, and it's also here on YouTube. If you go into the playlist of the EP, that I was inspired by a couple of people I know, and one of them especially was a guy. I did a gig in Dundalk one night, and I was having a few drinks the next day in the Imperial Hotel. This guy comes in, he's like, I got 20 euro on that race there now. Are we Alan Keane? So your man, he loses the £20 he put on, right? And then he comes back in and he goes, can I get 20 off you and I give it back to you during the week? Technodrome job, says Alan Keane. So he comes in anyway, he gets 20 euro cash back from the till, goes in, puts another bet on, comes back in, loses the bet, and then he goes, bollocks. There goes the son's birthday present. And he was there looking for sympathy. And I was like, what a fucking, as Tony Soprano would say, you fucking degenerate gambling bastard. And I was like, you know, you didn't have to go in and put that bet on. You didn't have to put any of them on. You could have saved the 40 quid. In fact, you could have had a couple of pints, an old curry cheese chips and a fillet burger down the road, and then bought your son a birthday present. And had he have gone and bought the son the birthday present, his son would have had a nice day. But instead, he had to go and fucking get the fix from gambling. And like, that's why I think gambling is the fucking worst of all of the vices. But yet, you know, you come here to Sweden, and on TV here in Sweden, they, you know, here in Sweden for many, many years now, I don't know when it started, you've got this thing called the Systembolaget, which is basically a centralized monopoly on alcohol. It's a government-run off licenses. And you won't get any nice, ice-cool, chill beers in there. It's all on a shelf, great selection, reasonably priced, a lot cheaper than Ireland. But like 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, it's closed. So it really does make you feel like an absolute pisshead when you're running to get to a Systembolaget at 5 minutes to 3 on a Saturday, because that's it, it's closed. The only place you can get booze from is the pub. And like, you just see the people coming in like in the last seconds before the security guards close the door, and they're like, but please, men snälla. I say, nej tyvärr, du kan inte komma in, du är för sent, mannen. Varför kommer du lite tidigare? Why weren't you earlier? And you just see the look on their face as their whole weekend plans have been like ruined, you know. So you have the likes of Systembolaget here, which is, you know, a government-run monopoly, where years ago they used to keep a ledger on all of the Swedish citizens who would they would go and buy alcohol. Let's say if they bought a bottle of whiskey or a few cans, they would make a ledger of who bought what, and that would go into the system, which then would potentially go against them in like a court case or something. So it was very micromanaged back in the day. But so with that context in mind about the Systembolaget, you look at TV here and it's like Bet 365, Polka Stars, fucking Ladbrokes, you know, Leo Casino, and it's just non-stop gambling. And it's like, okay, so the drinking is bad, and they have a, you know, like a zero tolerance with like recreational drug use, but with gambling, all bets are off, excuse the point. And I just find that really fucking hypocritical. So I think they have this like, because there's no substances being taken, somehow it's a clean vice, but it's also the one that will really fuck up your life in a very short space of time. So that was my monologue on gambling. So maybe I'm talking shite, maybe I'm not. Leave your comments down in the comments section and have a discussion about what you think the worst vice is. Smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the bell notification so you're alerted to any of my upcoming videos. The usual old pitch, isn't it, for YouTube? All camp, story. Yeah, name's Viper Higgins. Hey bro, looking good. Billy Bet 247, says Alan Keane. Brian Reynolds, Berlin here, tuning in, bro, for the Schlander. A man, Brie Reynolds. World Peas pays you back in Venezuelan bolivars. Sparkstron, full of promises. The crack's gone. You got that one right. But we're nearly at the half hour. I've enjoyed this little morning chat. You know, so a lot of times when I do these streams, I've no idea what the hell I'm going to be talking about. But once the chat starts rolling, man, that's like fucking, I was going to try and make some sort of joke, like, when you see the fucking caravan knocking, the rockin' don't come knocking, but I couldn't really think of anything to rhyme with rolling off the top of my head. What to say here? Alan Keane, in the park, just down in a bit of fucking wasteland, man, talking to a couple of wasters. Do you know what I mean? Sean B, fantastic podcast with Podge from Ham Sandwich. Laughed out loud at the story about Ronnie Drew. He's a really funny fucking dude, man. He grew up with Fred Cook. There was like a nice little contingency of like creative nutters from up in Kells. They're a good old crew, so they are. Like I really need to get my shit together and just get like a tour going on in Ireland and kind of, I don't know, have it some sort of musical edge to it, but also comedy. But I've just got to get it sorted out, man. I need to get myself either do it myself and book gigs or get a booking agent. So I need to fucking speak to Julian. Fucking Julian. Julian, are you listening to me, Julian? You're getting gigs for Colgan because Colgan's got the followers. Julian. So I might give Julian a ring now and say, listen to me, Julian, you floppy-haired bastard, you. Give us some fucking gigs, man. I want to come home. I need the touch. Irish pub tour. See, the Irish pub tour, man, as much crack as it sounds, at the end of it, the liver would be like, why did you do it to me, man? Why did you do it? I'm already going grey around the temples there, man. Do you know what I mean? Oh, oh, as me owl lad would say, little ears on you. And I was like, fair folks, man, little ears job. Better than having fucking Prince Charles ears, man, you know what I mean? But I love you and leave you anyway. It's been a nice pleasure talking to you all on this Friday morning. Would you share a pint with Putin? I fucking would, boy. I sure shared a pint with Brian Cowan once. And I sat down in Offaly and I said, did you ever fucking meet Assad? I did, yeah, I did. And he was like, another pint, another whiskey there to the Hardy boy. And I had to say, he was a fucking sound man for footing the pints down Tullamore way. And I said, do you ever meet Assad? I did, yeah. And I went, was he sound, was he? Well, he was sound enough for a man who killed 500,000 people. And I went, well, it's a bit more nuanced than that, Brian. I know, to be fair, I was only supposed to meet him for like 10 minutes, but I ended up talking for a good hour and a half. Very intelligent man, so he is. So that was former Taoiseach, Brian Cowan and myself on the pints. I met his daughter once in Carmen nightclub many moons back. And she was saying, like, she goes, oh, I'm Brian Cowan's daughter. And I was like, fair play. You're a good-looking woman. You did well, hey. You did well, hey. Any hash said the Guinness Guru. How are you fucking Guinness Guru? You've been hanging out with Stevie Kelly. How did it go down in Swinford? I saw the pictures of Big Mick and Stevie Kelly with you, and I knew if you ever want to get Big Mick out, just say there is free drink. He would reach you by aeroplane, cross the desert like an Iron Man. He don't care how he gets there. He gets there for free pints. Yeah, so I seen Big Mick was and Stephen Kelly. I was talking to the hench Gavigan, and he said he seen Stephen Kelly walking on his way into town to pick up the car the next day. And he goes, Tom Cagallan was there as well, and he said to Stevie Kelly, he was like, how'd you get home last night, Stevie? And he was like, I don't know how the fuck I got home. He's like, and Gavigan was like, sure it's fucking me who drove you home. So there was it looked like good crack. I'll be over for the next swamp session. How are you seagulls, man? I only found out last year that seagulls are actually a migratory species. Yeah, good time, boys. Yeah, good time, boys, is it? Fucking good time, boys, man. You got the crow, man. The crow sticks around, man. The crow's loyal. The crow, he sticks... The magpie, man. All part of the corvid family. What's wrong with you? No chat out, you know? Bastards. But, if you could all do me a favour, because I'm actually going to try and start pushing this lately, is that EP on Spotify. If you could just give me a follow and download the tunes, man. That'd be nice. Some action over here, hey. Oh Howie Maloney, what's the story? Quick question. Did your man Tordov fall off the map? I saw his because Frank video, which I enjoyed, but have you heard from him? Do you know if he's doing sound? I have no idea what the story is with him, to be honest with you. He was never that good at keeping in touch anyway. I buried hash here, the size of a baby's head, says Bajman Hash. Yeah, I don't know, like, he was never great for keeping in touch anyway, like, in recent years. And then, you know, it's just like, you don't want to be ringing people. Sorry, I don't want to be around to bother you, kind of thing. But I don't know what the story is. Like, the rumor has it he lives in Portugal now, but I don't know, man. I mean, like, you know, speaking I mean, like he in fairness, like very smart dude, very capable, very funny man. But I just think that if you have to be very careful with exposure, and I mean he was never really that noticeable as when he's out in public. Like it wouldn't be like me or Owen or Pete or the boys. But I just think that when you get to a certain level of let's say your market value is high in the world of entertainment or comedy or satire or music, when like for me, I know that my market value isn't very high, and that's because like I've kind of lost the interest in playing the game, and I quite like the idea of just I've got a little YouTube channel here, and I quite like that. It's I kind of feel like I don't feel the need to be validated, or chasing clicks. And I think once you start going down the route of making videos and content for the sake of trying to keep up with rival, acts or groups, it just becomes a bit of an obsession. And I've enough shite going on in my life to be fucking glued to the screen the whole time. And I think once you get to that level where you've got like 80 to 100,000 followers on social media or YouTube, and you've got people onto you all the time. Like even I've gone really bad for checking social media or WhatsApp Messenger. I just kind of felt like I'm a bit burnt out from it all, and like I always make sure I try and get back to everyone, but it just comes a stage where I'm just like, just needed to take a step away from it. And so if you look at the likes of himself, maybe he's a bit fucking burnt out with it, and just there's a lot of you see a lot of these like Nicki Swift watch Mojo videos, 5 comedians who fucking roasted their career with this, and it's like this is just idle speculation. Like if you look at like TV or like like childhood actors, Edward Furlong, fucking I don't know, Haley Joel Osment, and these kind of lads, or people who had very very big careers in the 80s and the 90s or the 2000s. And then it's like, what happened to these people? I think they just get fucking sick of it, man. It's like, if you're in, like, first of all, the showbiz world is a very vacuous world. And like I said, when your market value is high, everyone wants a slice of the pie because you're making them money. And it doesn't matter, like, how heinous of a fucking individual you are, or how narcissistic or vain you are, or, people will gravitate to you because you're the new kid in town, or and then you got people like Madonna and fucking people like that who just can't give it up, man. They just constantly have to keep reinventing themselves because they're addicted to that, to being on top. And you're always going to be making people money, and as long as you're making people money, people want a slice of you. And it's very difficult to distinguish who's been there since day one and who's after you for something. And I think that's the danger of becoming very famous and very well known. A lot of people say, oh, fame changes people. Maybe it does, but I think a lot of people, I think it depends on at what stage in your mental development in life you became exposed. So if you look at people like Brendan Gleeson, for example, he's always seemed to have his head screwed on, probably because he was a grown man by the time he found Hollywood fame. But I think like the best way of dealing with it is getting it out and just try and lead a normal life. So to answer your question involving him, that was only just a kind of a monologue of speculation. I think maybe he's probably got something on the pipeline, but I think he probably just wants to take a half a year off, and he's made some coin and he just wants to like enjoy his life. Hey, how you doing? Hey. Yeah, so I think it's nice to step away from it and just kind of like do things you want to do and not be beholden to schedules. And when you set the bar high, it's almost like if you've got like a black belt at jiu-jitsu and you haven't gone rolling for 3 years, and then you go back and you've got fucking blue belts and purple belts and brown belts and everyone's trying to like take you down. Maybe it's that kind of level of pressure. I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be back at some stage. Sorry about that. The pollen, man, the pollen. But yeah, so I'd say he'll probably be back, but I reckon he's just taking a bit of a break from it, and I think it's a healthy thing to do, to step away from the fucking showbiz game and just live a normal life in somewhere where no one knows you and you can just walk around without feeling you have to look over your shoulder all the time. That's what I like about living in Sweden. I feel like I'm basically back to who I was before any of this Hardy Book stuff started, which is good for me because, you know, there's for a long time there, if I was doing like an interview with like the newspaper, I'd say things that were taken out of context, or they would be writing everything I said verbatim, and I'd be like, God, I sound like a fucking asshole or a daft prick. And then, you know, I'd have my sister, who's my manager, going, oh, what are you talking about this issue for? You shouldn't be talking about. And it's like, it just came to the point where like I was like, fine, I won't do any more interviews in print because it's just not worth the hassle. So I quite like the fact that I've faded into obscurity and I can basically feel free to speak my mind, and I can't be fucked chasing likes and clicks. Do you know what I mean? So I won't put anything up for the sake of doing it. I'll do something when I feel like I'm ready for it. So I hope that has made some sense. Sorry to be fucking waffling on, man, but it was I suppose you might find some sort of interesting insights from it. And at the end of the day, like it's not like I was on like fucking Tom Cruise level. It's a low budget TV show from Ireland which had a modicum of success because it was picked up by Netflix. But you know, Ireland is a small country and it's easy for it would be easy to kind of get ahead of yourself. But in the grand scheme of things, the Hardy Books is it's a cult comedy show that was made on a dime. Do you know what I mean? It's a very good show. I'm not fucking negating that, man. It's very funny, very you know, it was a good cross-section of rural Irish life for 20-something-year-old males, and but it's not going to fucking stop the war in Ukraine, is it? Do you know what I mean? Let's see some of your comments here. Hey, I'm actually going to download this video for the snippet of wisdom for Maloney. Fucking fair play to you, Teddy. How are you, Maloney? How do you feel about NATO, hey? NATO, you know, it was developed as a treaty to protect against the, you know, the war, like any threats of war from the Soviet Union. But since the collapse of the Soviet Union, I do feel like they have become the aggressor, and that's just me being objective. I don't like it. For me, I've no fucking horse in this race. Do you know what I mean? I don't give a shit. But I'm just looking at things Socratically, and you know, it's NATO is a great business model for giving weapons contractors a lovely bit of income. You know, it's like who's the winner in all of these conflicts and these sending of arms? It's people like Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Bofors, you know, and other producers of military hardware. It's not the people. It's never the fucking people. And I think it's basically like the big pharmaceutical complex. It's like, and even law is subject to, it's like the legal industrial complex, divorce courts, you know, copyright law, you know, legislate. I mean, everything has just become a kind of a means to an end for people to make money. Like even civil servants and bureaucrats, like it, especially here in Sweden, it's like if you want to build a shed, you have to have a man from the council come out, and you have to put in every fucking nut and bolt and screw that has gone into the making of it. And it's just basically, these are just basically people who are justifying their occupation by making up arbitrary laws. Let me see what else. I saw you on Vikings yesterday getting dismembered, said El Cid, outside fucking Kiev as well. World peace. Now I'm imagining that he keeps bumping into groups of Portuguese teenagers who recognize him and go, any hash from across the street. You never know, man. Belisor. But sure, the Swedes love a bit of NATO now, so they do. Yeah, I mean, look, like, first of all, I think when you look at the military hardware of NATO, you've got Apache helicopters, you've got like Abrams tanks, you've fucking, they're infantry regiments, as we've seen in Ukraine. They're like small groups of infantry that are taking out military hardware like tanks and helicopters by using manpads, and it's basically asymmetrical warfare. And now, I mean, like, basically the whole warfare, how do I phrase this? Like, the modern warfare has changed so dramatically. Especially, you've got like aerial supremacy with drones and GPS. Like, you can see an advancing army. Like they knew that the Russians had amassed a presence on the eastern borders of Ukraine and Belarus. They could see this because they could see the tanks with satellite imagery. So, like, we're at the stage now where tanks, all they're good for is basically mobile artillery. But like, if you have an A-10 Warthog, for example, the A-10 tank buster, you send a couple of them in and you can completely destroy a whole column of tanks in no time. You can do the same thing with drones, and a couple of men running around with Stingers and Javelins, you can do a lot of damage. So if you look at what NATO has in terms of like F-16s, Global Hawks, Apaches, destroyers, I think militarily they have much better sophisticated weapons than the Russians do. I mean, like, the amount of money that America spends on military per year is like this, it's more than the whole world combined. And yeah, so like they put, I think America is one of the biggest contributors. It is the biggest contributor to NATO's budget. But like, at the end of the day, Russia has nuclear weapons. And so, yeah, if it's, how does that go from basically being two massive factions, like Russia and its allies, versus, or if China gets involved, versus NATO? I mean, at what stage to be like, all right, we'll have a conflict, but we won't use any nuclear weapons? And at what stage does then someone go, you know what, we're just going to send a preemptive fucking nuke, and that's it, man, and it's mutual assured destruction? I mean, I think it's just, as Pope John Paul would say, war is a failure of civilization, and I think that the degree of people we have in the highest echelons of power are pure fucking psychopathic scum. They don't give a shit about humanity or nature, but they're always the ones who are talking about being virtuous the most. And anyone who kind of keeps parroting on about how bloody good they are the whole time are usually not good people. So I hope that made some sense. Thoughts on Jimmy Dore? I like Jimmy Dore. He's sound. You know what I mean? He's look, at the end of the day, look, he's ticking all the right boxes. He's talking about death cult. Yeah, it is a fucking death cult, man. It's like humanity, like everything that was conventional, like things that humanity has been doing for years, has now been inverted. Like, things that were just basically natural, anything to do with the natural world, has all been inverted. And it's like things that we're seen as being, like raising a family. I mean, all this shit is like, they're trying to destroy. If you destroy the individual, then you destroy the family unit. If you destroy the family unit, you destroy the community. You destroy the community, you destroy the country. And if you destroy the country, you just add it to another list of failed states where nobody has any connection to God or a divine power. And it's basically a nation state, a community. It's important. It's important because you want to feel like you belong to something. We all feel a need to belong to a tribe at the end of the day. And I think we should be living to be the best spiritual beings that we can. You know, we want to be as enlightened and as you know, to leave the world in a better place that we found it, and in a genuine sense, not just like talking in slogans such as "Build Back Better" and this kind of nonsense, but actually trying to make a difference and trying to make the world a better place, especially for those who don't have a voice. You know, it's like, who gets fucked over all the time? It's either the students or the elderly, or kids, or the poor or the homeless. You know, it's like, these are easy targets that can't fight back, and the eroding of the middle class that was the most powerful entity, or like the working class and the middle class, because they were the ones who had the numbers to influence things with buying power, you know. So let me have a look at what else. Swedes are also no strangers to a bit of arms trading, Bofors, Saab, etc. You got that one right. K. Hughes, I've seen people saying that the war's contrived in order to drain the rest of the globe's finances via tax and raising fuel, etc., to make people more accepting of the Great Reset, central digital currency. Do you think? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what it is. Like, why is it that I mean, they're not even hiding. It's like they're not even hiding the bulletin that comes from the top down. You know, it's like Build Back Better, which came from someone. It doesn't even sound like it was written by someone whose native language is English. Build Back Better. You can imagine Klaus Schwab in his spooky castle in Davos going, "We need something that rhymes and it sounds good and is to the point and it makes the idiots believe that we are doing something that is going to ultimately benefit the good of mankind, but in reality it's going to enrich us and our crony friends, the kleptocrats and the technocrats who are hell-bent on, you know, taking people's consciousness and doing what we will with that. You all will have a chip in your brain and you'll know what the audience is saying." And it's like, nah, man, don't want any of that shit. I mean, I think that the best thing that could probably happen is someone fucking nukes the planet with an EMP, and that would be the great fucking reset, because all these, like the digital currencies, all this military hardware, the surveillance, the satellites, you start again from scratch, and yeah, then you'll need a proper postal service. It would, you know, it would suck for anyone who's on dialysis or people who actually need communications, but it's probably, I think basically technology and science ultimately failed us, because any scientific breakthrough is always used for, it always gets into the hands of the wrong people. CRISPR gene splicing technology, I mean, like, you know, whatever the fuck else, like, you know, nuclear power. It's like, it always gets used for, how can we turn this into a weapon? You know, I think Aliens was a good allegory of that, where it's like, Burke wants to impregnate us with this xenomorph and then bring it back and use it as a bioweapon. You know, it always comes down to like, how much money can you make on the weapons market? It seems to, let me see, do you think that Death Cult will succeed in their scheme for total full spectrum dominance and global control? I don't know, man. I mean, it's like, for every action there is an equal reaction, and I mean, like, I'm just a fucking guy who, you know, part-time comedian now, and you know, I'm just like basically a regular working class guy from a working class family who was raised by, you know, my mother, who had a good heart, a very spiritual woman whose faith was very important to her, and always raised me to have, and my siblings, to be fair, and, you know, like, to do no harm and take no shit, just to be good people. And we all make fucking silly mistakes, and we've all, none of us is without sin, but you have to make those mistakes in order to learn your lesson from mistakes and develop empathy. Whereas you got the likes of Bill Gates, who's, you know, raised in a fucking very privileged dynasty, or people like that who they never had to chase the crow for food. They don't understand what it is to struggle and to have the pressure of paying bills, and, you know, and just not being able to afford things. And but I think the likes of these people who are, as you say, will the death cult succeed? I don't think they will, because I mean, it doesn't look good now, but look at the Soviet Union. I mean, that eventually came to an end, but it just, I don't know at what stage of things we're at before people wake up. But like, I don't know who exactly. I mean, it's like you look at Klaus Schwab. He's a textbook Bond villain. The only thing he's missing is the white Persian cat. Like, he looks like fucking Goldfinger, or one of those lads. And there's no James Bond. There's no fucking mythical Marvel superhero that's gonna like kick down the doors and go, right, your messing is over now, we're gonna take you in. And yeah, it seems to be non-existent. I mean, all you have is basically investigative journalists. And I mean, it just like, I saw a video yesterday that Ivor Cummins put up, and it was basically Klaus Schwab saying, we have all the NGOs, the media, religious leaders, military, financial entities. I mean, like, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, is one of the main funders of the World Economic Forum. I mean, the portfolio of BlackRock alone exceeds 11 or 12 trillion, you know. And when you consider that Bill Gates is supposed, or Elon Musk is supposed to be the richest man in the world, and he's, you know, what is it, like 200 billion he's worth or something, and then you consider how much a trillion is, and the kind of money that America is, like, under the Build Back Better scheme, is just fucking splashing about. And then you just say, like, this money, it's silly money. You know, like, the debt is now over 30 trillion. And, you know, like, the universe isn't even a trillion years old, according to scientists. So when you go it by those metrics, yeah, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, I think these people will succeed as long as the people in the middle are kept in the dark. And they're going to be kept in the dark because they have compromised informational sources, like the mainstream media, for example, the governments and the think tanks. They're all, even Putin was a World Economic Forum leader. Is he just playing his part? Is the world a stage and everyone plays their part? Paj Mahaj says, BlackRock have half of America's GDP. Absolutely. I mean, they own Pepsi, they own Coca-Cola, they own Facebook. I mean, like, they're like large stockholders, as of Vanguard and Citadel and people like this. McCain's CRISPR gene therapy. Oh, microwavable job. Well, Dirk and your legend, what's the crack, says the crazy Irishman. Kay Hughes, yeah, that Roach company is literally saying that, and that it will be good for us. What was this? Sorry, it's fairly blatant. Seems to make sense, as Ukraine were apparently going to accept centralized crypto. Well, I mean, Ukraine, man, it's, I mean, you've got like people like Torian Nuland, who is actually of Ukrainian extraction, and I mean, I don't know what the fuck's going on there. It's, you know, it's strategically, there's probably a lot of oil. And like, when you got the likes of Bono going to Kiev to sing, and everyone is going there for photograph opportunities, you're like, well, where the fuck were you for the last 70 years with Yemen or Syria or Libya or Iraq, Afghanistan? You know, it's like, it's just a fucking photo op, and it's like, I mean, like, I don't condone war. I fucking, like, I'm a pacifist, you know, and I say that not as a, you know, yeah, I would be anti-war, and to be anti-war means to be anti-establishment, and I'm fucking anti-establishment the whole way. I don't want to see the needless suffering of human beings and ecosystems because of it's a means to an end for someone to get rich, you know, and that's basically what it always boils down to, in some shape or form. Good and evil versus evil at the end of the day, says Paj Mahaj. I think that's basically, I think it all goes back to the Bible. Well, you know what, it's funny because once you start like looking into it, biblical events do, I mean, like, there's a lot of things that are looking basically very biblical, and I think it does come down to that. It's basically, if you live your life by the Gospels, I'm not saying I do, I'm not saying I do at all, but I try and live an honourable life. But like, there's, you know, I mean, why else do you think they're trying to eradicate Christianity from schools and community? Like, if you sever people from any kind of higher power. You know, there are, you know, there's things like usury is outlawed. You know, you can't make money off money itself. It's, you know, the money lenders, like Christ kicked them out of the temple. You know, it's like, but I don't think like Christianity is, you know, I mean, that turn the other cheek is something that that maybe is misinterpreted to basically, you know, there's some people who say that turning the other cheek is an act of defiance. Like, go on, fucking hit the other one then, big man. There's lines such as like sell your cloak and buy a sword. I mean, I think if you have to defend what is good and what is, you know, you've got to defend yourself, your family, your community, you know, the things that you love from an invading force that means to do you harm, then I don't think there's anywhere in the Bible or in the New Testament anyway that says that you should just fucking roll over and take it, you know. And like the Old Testament was like the walls of Jericho, you know, the smashing of the walls of Jericho, or, you know, morally justified self-defense. But that goes back to the adage of do no harm, take no shit. You know, it's like, you know, you're not supposed to just fucking be a punch bag for arbitrary aggression. You know, it's like, you shouldn't. And it's the thing with NATO and Russia at the moment. It's like, you know, it's like the Minsk agreement, like those countries in the Baltic states and Ukraine, it was agreed upon that they remain neutral. And like the fact that countries like Turkey and Romania and Poland have all these NATO bases. I mean, like, and some of these have nuclear arms pointed towards Russia. You know, I mean, like there was the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was the closest thing to doomsday we've had in recent times. And like, it's the same thing. It's like imagine, you've just got to look at it from the, like, again, I do not support the fact that Russia went in and invaded Ukraine. I don't support war. I'm not, but like at the same time, it's like, it wasn't like he just woke up one day and was like, right lads, let's just fucking go in here and fuck the gaff up. You know, it's like, it's a proxy war. In America, you got people like saying like, oh, we must win this war. We are at war with Russia. And it's like, oh really? And it is, it's a proxy war. They're basically, and who's like, okay, like I said, arms manufacturers, they're winning. Shareholders in those companies, they're winning. The people of Ukraine are dying. People of Russia are dying. And it's only gonna, like, I can see coming up that Russia are going to go into Moldova, because Moldova still has the hammer and sickle on the flag, and that's, Moldova is in between southwest Ukraine and Romania. And I can see Russia annexing Moldova as a salient point geostrategically. And if they go in there, then they're right, so they're like southeast of Hungary, they're south of Poland. So it's basically, if they get in there, that's a geostrategic salient in the front line. So who knows what's going to happen, but I can't see this war de-escalating at any point. And, you know, like the old saying, wars have started over less. We've far exceeded that. And it's like, you know, if you're in an argument with someone, as soon as, you always have to keep the discussion on point. As soon as the discussion devolves into ad hominem personal insults, it's very difficult to then de-escalate. And I think that's what's happened in this. It's basically gone from staying on point to just like, we want this war and it's going to happen at all costs. And I don't want a war. And it's certainly, you know, when you look into history about what's happened before, we've had 2 world wars and the fucking death toll. I mean, I think like the death toll of World War II was something from like 60 to 80 million people. You know, that's like the entire population of like the UK. And like, who wants that, man? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not like Hollywood movies where it's like glorious scenes with a dramatic score behind it. You know, you're talking about people being fucking slaughtered in horrific ways. I mean, like, I burnt my fucking finger the other day, and I was like, that was very painful. And then there's people like being bombed or blown up in tanks who they can't get out. They're fucking burning to death, man. I mean, I think it's probably one of the worst ways you can go. And you've got these people who are supposed to be like virtuous on, you see that online, and they're like, yeah, we want more war, fuck you. I mean, like these are genuine human casualties where people are dying in horrific fucking ways. And I mean, I don't understand like what's wrong with having the approach where you want to de-escalate that and stop it, man. Like this conflict is going to be a festering wound, even if there is peace and everyone decides to pack up and go home. That's going to be a fissure and an open wound in Central Europe and Eastern Europe for decades to come. So
Fuck them.
we'll all be speaking Russian by Christmas, says Juvelita. I doubt it. The question is there actually a way to cure humanity from greed? Well, I don't think so, because human beings are, it's just like. It's like Frank Zappa said about communism. It's never going to work because people like to own stuff, and it's like I can't say, like, if I was given a position where I was, crush that dissent there, please, and then later on it'd be like, well, yes, we did what you said, boss, and we crushed that dissent. I'd be like, oh fuck, I didn't mean that, and it's I'm glad that I'm not I never would want to be a head of state. I don't understand like why anyone would run for being prime minister or a leader of a country. It's like it's a very, very heavy burden, and it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, like you outsource the responsibility to underlings in the hope that they do things smoothly, and if they fuck up, it ultimately falls on you as the leader at the end of the day. So, to answer your question about humanity and greed, no, and I think we're seeing greed and deception on a scale that we've never seen in our lifetime. And I think at the end of the day, the truth always comes out. I think Jesus himself said, "Don't panic," as it says Paj Mahaj. Got some no-me chomsters mind bombs the other day. War only ends two ways: one side getting destroyed or peace talks. Absolutely, yeah. Being a leader of a nation seems borderline sociopathic, truly. Yeah, it does. I mean, look at the people who have been in the presidential elections, not for love nor money, what I want now. But come here, listen, I've got stuff to do. But
Martin Ellen, Jesus for the win. Amen, Marty.
But yeah, say your prayers, and just be grateful for everything you've got in life, and try and live the best life you can live, and try not to be vain, humble, and greedy, and covet thy neighbor's wife and goods. You know what I mean? Just like, yeah, I mean, just like anytime you feel like you're doing something immoral, just fucking check yourself and be like, is this what I want?
Few naggins be grand. Jesus. Man, Jamie Ryan. Smoke Benson and Hedges in the claw like that job.
Ghostbusters 2, keep balling. Anyway, this turned into a very long stream, but I'll see what the crack is tonight, because this turned into a kind of a 70-minute. It was only supposed to be like a 15-minute job, but I have enjoyed talking with you, and if you think that I am talking absolute shite, or if you agree with my sentiments,
leave a message down in the comments section. I'd love to hear back from you.
And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because I think I'm nearly at the 5K mark, which is a real milestone. And if you want to support the channel, Maloney's Digest at PayPal, if you want to throw us a few quid, if you want to fucking pay for an old guitar tuner or a pair of fucking Reebok classics. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. But it's been a pleasure talking with you all. So head for the old cup of tea. And if you're just waking up in stateside now, have a nice day. And summer's coming in. Just like live your life and have a good time doing it. The weekend's here. Few looseners. It's a great day for the pint bottle, man. It's a great day for the pint bottle. And hopefully fucking Liverpool win the FA Cup tomorrow as well, so I can live vicariously through their achievements. All right, lads. Chat to you later. Good luck and God bless you.